I have never not thrown up.
Really?
Yeah. I'm Drew.
I'm Marsya.
And we're reviewing
Vice.
Could be the Sin or Vice President.
Educational.
Informative.
Oh.
You know, movies theaters have the recliner chairs now.
Do they?
Yeah, or at least all the ones in Kalamazoo do. I'm too used to laying down now watching movies, whether it be on my bed or in the theaters. If you ever wanted to know the brief history of why everything's now, I guess. Morality is in grays, not black and white, I guess.
That was a sentence. A movie that shows why people need to take foreign policy very seriously.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. So Christian
Yep.
Bale, still hot as Dick Cheney. Amazingly. Like,
Yeah.
I just want that belly in my face, you know?
I don't know if I want to go that far.
I really, really, really liked it. It was very good.
So sarcastic.
I didn't mean to. I really, really, really liked it. It was very good.
This is one of my favorite films of the year, I think.
2019 or 2018?
2018. I mean, it didn't come out in 2019. How does the movie start? Well, who cares?
The movie starts with Dick Cheney making the executive decision to bomb. Like, basically, he overstepped his role as a VP. It starts off with that. When he was a young guy, he was an alcoholic. He gets like pulled over by the cops, and then Lynn Cheney, his wife, who is like, I think studying at like a.
I mean, she's studying at like an Ivy League school.
Yeah,
and
she's
he
like-
was also studying at the Ivy League school.
Yeah,
but
and then
he dropped out.
He got kicked out, and then she was like doing really well, and she was like, "Well, like there are so many guys who want to date me. Like you better prove to me that you're worth it." And he was like, "I will change for Lynn."
If you're gonna be my man, you better not fuck up anymore. And then he says, "Okay." So he goes to Washington D.C. and starts as an intern.
Then he meets Donald Rumsfeld.
Yeah.
Donald Rumsfeld, who is like he meets this guy by this speech that he gives, which is super like sexist and racist. I don't know if it was racist, but like,
It was mostly sexist.
It was pretty sexist, and then he was like, "I want to be that guy," and so like he becomes the intern for Donald Rumsfeld, and then this guy like teaches him like all the political savvy that he needs.
He's not a Republican for Republican reasons. He's a Republican because he liked Donald Rumsfeld, I guess. I think that's what the movie was saying. 10 years later, he has like a heart attack. There's no friends in politics. That's what I learned from this movie.
There's no friends anywhere.
Oh.
That's not
We
true.
need to
Friendship
move
is
on.
magic. Sorry. Why didn't you speak him up when he was doing it? George Bush shows up, and he's like he's not doing too hot like George Bush. Like he enters the film like as a drunkard, and then like Dick Cheney and his wife is like, oh, he's kind of an idiot, but a powerful idiot. This movie has a lot of powerful idiots. Dick Cheney was gonna run for presidency, but then he finds out that his daughter is gay, and he became worried that like if he tried to become a president, like the scrutiny on his daughter would be too much. So for his own daughter's sake, which I thought was, I like that.
Sam Rockwell, who is great in this.
He is fantastic.
It's awesome.
He always seems to play a guy that I am afraid to be alone with. Like he somehow is so good at that role.
I want you to be my vice. And he's like, he goes back home and talks to his wife. And then it turns into like a Shakespearean
Oh
scene.
my god, that was so funny.
What are they? I think they're reciting Macbeth, but it's just them talking about like, if I become vice president, George W. Bush is a idiot, so I could basically just run the country.
I want you to be my VP. We can make this work.
They win. He becomes VP. But basically, like, afterwards, it's just Dick Cheney, like, kind of, like, I guess manipulate. He doesn't really manipulate George Bush, but more like George Bush.
George Bush he's portrayed as a hapless idiot who doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And
I'm so sad he doesn't draw anything in a movie because he's a good artist, isn't he, George Bush?
yeah, he's painting now. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Then 9/11 happens, and they shift the focus of the war to Iraq, and then that happens, and then he has like his like 20th heart attack. He has so many heart attacks. I didn't know that he had so many heart attacks. Mm-hmm. He gets a heart transplant, and then he retires.
A man who wants power always wants power, right? And so he starts like prepping his daughter to like become part of the, like, what was she trying to be in the?
She was trying to be like the governor of some middle of the country state, and her opponent's like, "Oh, you're like for gay marriage," and she like talks to Dick Cheney, and she's like, "What do I do?" And then he's like, "Sell out." Yeah, that's basically the end of the movie.
Summarizing the movie, I hate this part. This is the worst. I hate summarizing.
They're eating lunch. They're discussing the VP ship, and it's intercut with a man fly fishing. Because Dick Cheney is a big fly fisher, apparently. Mm-hmm. So it's intercut with the man fly fishing. And as the conversation like nears to Dick Cheney kind of manipulating the discussion of being the VP, but controlling the presidency.
Yeah.
I can handle the more mundane jobs.
When W says, "Oh yeah, I'll that sounds like a good deal to me. I know a good deal when I see it." And then the fly fishing man like hooks the fish, and he's like, I don't know the sound that like a man reeling in like a fly fishing reel makes, but it's like a whoosh. This scene is not only a masterclass in like editing, but also just like how to do like simple montage well.
Thank you.
We're gonna leave this on the table and not address it.
I want to hear more about George Bush and the porn scene.
Another favorite of mine was when the four guys were like having dinner, and the waiter is like, "Oh, you could have this," and he was detailing like foreign policy stuff, and they were just like, "That sounds delicious."
But I think this is like a really good movie. I think it's really well edited.
I think it's so wonderfully edited.
And everybody who acts in it is really good. Christian Bale, Steve Carell.
Amy Adams was great.
Amy Adams. Colin Powell was like the voice of reason in the White House. Like he was like, I don't want to lie. And then Dick Cheney was like, why don't I just lie? Yep. Yeah, they went into a lot of detail on Colin Powell's UN speech. Like
that was hard to watch.
Yeah,
in a good way.
That one
in
hurt.
a good way. You know, it's tough to see, but in like a tasteful way. I don't know how to explain it.
It intermixes the absolute like knowledge cringe. Like, this is awful that this could have possibly happened. But also like 2 minutes later there's like a good joke. And then it's like, I'm here for tingles. I think it is worth an Oscar nomination. As like bunk as Oscars are, it is probably one of the better films I've seen this year.
But I think the movie is just acted really well. The editing, I feel like you said, is a masterclass. Like, walking into this movie, I thought it was just gonna be a boring like biography of someone, but like they do it in such a fun way.
It's very lighthearted, which is weird for like the content.
Right, it just does that lightheartedness about such a serious matter so well, which I think is worth the nomination.
And like that, if you look at like the vice president debates for like the 2000 election, his opponent like brings up like that his daughter's gay, and he just like stares him down. He doesn't say anything. He just stone cold stares him down, and his opponent just like falls apart. And like that's admirable, to not drag your family into things that don't matter. Right. Like, but then he just like crushes it. He crushes it into dust in the sake of like his other daughter's political career and like the lengthening of the Cheney legacy.
Yeah, on like Drew's note, like I think the way the movie portrays him and his family, like they do it in such a really like it isn't like it's not big chunks dedicated to the family, but like those little stuff we get here and there just really shows how much he loves his family, right?
Yeah.
And that really heartfelt stuff. I loved it. But yeah, do I think Dick Cheney is a good person? No. But did I think he was trying to do the right thing? No.
What was your question? I've lost it.
Do you think the movie was like biased? Like a you know how they said
this movie was so biased. This movie was incredibly biased, but it did it in a humorous way that it didn't feel like super biased. It like the framing of the narrative is through a just like the average Joe who gets shipped off to like Afghanistan and Iraq, comes back safe, dies, donates his heart to Dick Cheney. That's like the end of him. He's like, feels pretty that like my heart went to Dick Cheney. Like you don't hear a lot about Dick Cheney. Like the biggest thing that happened during the Bush presidency was Dick Cheney shooting a dude like on
funny.
a hunting trip.
Funny in a really sad way about the abuse of power.
Yeah, so like you don't hear a lot about that, but if you do like literally the smallest amount of cursory research, you will find all this stuff that came up in the movie. But this movie is so incredibly like biased against like that presidency's agenda. It's like palpable. Like you can feel it. Like the satire in Vice is like it's making fun of both sides enough that you can take all of it with like the same grain of salt.
Do you have one in mind?
Oh yeah, I got one in mind.
Go ahead. If you're an American person watching this right now, please keep an up to date on what's going on in your government, because you got some. The reason why Dick Cheney got into power and a lot of happened in this country is because people weren't really paying attention. So, man's not hot. 8 out of 10 heart attacks.
Yeah, I give this a solid 9.5 out of 10 heart transplants.
Cheers.
Fake it till you
I'm actually gonna fly fish it
Ooh.
in,
Oh
and
my
then I'm
God.
gonna pull it out,
Gotta be
and
quick with that.
oh, look at this big beauty. I got a 12-inch penis. I'll take it. I'm not gonna confirm or deny.
Make of what you will the rumors.
Yeah. But this big beauty of a fish is where you can see more of me.
If you want to see more of me in these videos, so yeah.
Grozny Productions. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Or
Or
I have one.